So I'm going to post the link in the chat for all of our panelists and attendees. We hope that you share this YouTube video far and wide so others can see it. I know for some folks there were conflicts, so a lot of you may be watching this recording later on. I think Bradley might have frozen.
Oh.
He looked frozen.
Yeah, he did. Are very calm, very still.
No, there we go. Okay. All right.
And we're just 2 minutes after the hour, so I guess there might be a few more who will join.
Yeah, I had a number of people register and then email me and tell me, we just want the recording. And I said, okay, totally understand. 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. And for those of you who just joined, I'm going to post the YouTube link in the chat again, just so you can spread the word and share this with others. And Karen, I don't think I've met Brian before. I understand that he does a lot of demos for you and he's a science comedian.
Yeah, we can let Brian introduce himself if we want to start with that. I mean,
think that'd be
start with
fun.
the introduction. We'll do the demo a little bit later.
Yeah. Hi, Brian. Nice to meet you. I'm Caroline.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You don't need to demo
Hi.
yet, though.
Okay, but I'll step
Heading out
outside.
the door.
Oh shoot, where are my keys?
But yeah, Brian's
coming
yeah, go ahead.
over after this, right?
We'll cue you when, but yeah, Brian's my neighbor. He's a citizen scientist and he's a science comedian by profession.
Not a
means he's
citizen
science
comedian.
communicator.
I'm an actual comedian.
And a stand-up comedian.
Not a
Yeah.
citizen comedian.
Not a citizen comedian, right? So anyway, so yeah, when the time comes, he's going to demonstrate a couple of projects for us using his Verizon data on his
So
phone.
here's some citizen science. A little while ago, the second dead snake I was found right here on this walkway. But you know what? It's gone. It was here 20 minutes ago and it's gone now. And it was dead for sure.
Huh.
Somebody came and got it.
Somebody got it.
Well, this is just as well because I didn't want to have to clean it up off my own sidewalk.
I think it's that orange cat. Anyway, Bradley, you want to? We could all introduce ourselves.
Are we live?
We are.
We are indeed. We're live on YouTube.
Excellent.
Is there anyone here besides us right now?
Yeah, we have a few participants. Looks like about 8 have joined us now.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Yep.
I posted the link.
Awesome.
Great.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, we can go ahead and get started then. Give me just a second. I was going to pull this up. Okay, great. Yeah, well, we can get started. How many people are here? Oh, I see, we have 12. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Present.
Brian is present. And Darlene wants somebody to post the YouTube link, so maybe Caroline can do that.
Yeah.
But great, thanks everyone for coming. My name is Bradley Alf, and I'm a grad student at North Carolina State University in Raleigh, and I study citizen science. And we're here today to talk to you all about what citizen science is, how you can get involved, and we're going to do some live demos of some actual citizen science projects and even have a chance for everyone that's on here that's maybe watching it later to show them how to participate in projects themselves. And so we're excited about the panelists on here right now. So Karen is here and she works with SciStarter, which we'll talk about a little later. SciStarter is the internet's central hub for citizen science, has thousands of projects. It's the largest repository of projects of its kind in the world. And so we're really lucky to be working with SciStarter on this. Karen Cooper is also here. She's an advisor at NC State and has spent a long time thinking about citizen science and working on it and researching it. Her background is in ornithology, where she was at Cornell studying citizen science. And Brian Mallow is also here. Brian Mallow is a science comedian. You might know him from hanging out with and rubbing shoulders with people like Neil deGrasse Tyson online. And he's also a local North Carolinian here. And yeah, we're going to talk all about citizen science over the next hour. We have from 4 to 5 p.m. to talk about citizen science and introduce everyone to some projects and talk about how you can get involved.
Yeah, and I'll just add, and I'm here in Raleigh. I'm a associate professor at NC State, and I'll add that I think the attendees are probably muted, and so I'm going to be the moderator for the chat. So if at any time you have questions, things you want clarified, repeated, whatever, put it in the chat, and I'll be your voice and bring it to Bradley's attention or to Brian's attention or whatever. And anyway, use that chat feature as much as you like.
And for our folks who might be tuning in later, who might be watching it, the recording of this, next month or the month after, what's the best way to get in touch with you all?
Great question. I think Bradley will provide that in here, an email. Is it yours, Bradley, or mine? Which one do you use?
I have mine on here. If I can
Okay.
get this slide, should go to the next.
So yeah, Bradley will provide his email at NC State for a question. There it is. Great.
During the event for people that are on, and also, yeah, if you have further questions afterwards or you're watching this later, definitely feel free to email me at the email address screen here, ballf@ncsu.edu. And so just to give everyone a sense for where we're going, what our plans are, we're through our introductions now. Now we're going to do a little bit of a poll so we can get to know the people on the call. And then I'll give a brief overview of what citizen science actually is and what these new corporate portals are that SciStarter and NC State together are building for different community groups and organizations and corporations to participate in citizen science together collectively as a group. And then we're going to ask you to take a quick survey, and then we'll get into the live demos of actual projects. And we'll have some time for people on the call to participate in projects and ask questions about, sort of the logistics of signing up and how that goes. And time for Q&A. So that's where we are. And so next, okay, I stopped the share. So Caroline's now going to push out a short poll. So if everyone that's on the call could take this poll, it would give us a sense of kind of who is on the call, what your background is, whether you have heard of citizen science, that kind of thing. And it should have just popped up for everyone.
Yep, so we have our first question up, which is, are you an employee of Verizon? And 5 of our 8 attendees have voted. We have 2 Verizon employees on the line. So glad you're here. And we have—
Yes, because I have questions about my Verizon service. Kidding. It's holding up just fine.
Okay, I'm going to end the poll in 3, 2, 1 to move on to our next question. So last chance to vote, last chance, end poll. Share results. All right. We're going to do our next question.
Great.
Which is, do you live in North Carolina?
Verizon employees and non-Verizon employees.
And Bradley, we're losing your audio a little bit. So while we have our people vote, if you look at the mic in the left corner of your screen, if you click that little caret there, the third option from the bottom says switch to phone audio. I think that'll give us a better way to hear you. And we've had 6 of our 8 vote. We're missing 2 of you. Come on, you can vote. Do you live in North Carolina? Right now, only 2 people who have voted said yes. And we have 4 people who have voted who have said no.
You know what? I might be one of those non-voters because I just registered on the website. So maybe I'm just registered as not a panelist.
Yeah,
no, actually you are a panelist, so you're not allowed to vote.
Yeah,
I didn't.
All right.
But am I registered as a panelist?
You are indeed. We've made you one. You've been promoted.
Yay. I'm going to take over now. Okay.
All All right, and then let's see. I think Bradley had one more question on here. So we're going to stop sharing our results. So the vast majority of the people attending today are not in North Carolina. I'm a little surprised by that. And we're going to do our last question, which is how much experience you have with citizen science. Darlene says, hey, this comedian fella is funny.
I haven't even gotten started. Hello, Darlene.
Oh my gosh, the majority of people on the call have not done citizen science before.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Well,
they're like
that's-
me because you all are actual scientists and I'm merely a citizen scientist.
Oh, don't say merely. Definitely not.
But
a
I mean,
mere.
I'm not a scientist. I am a citizen scientist.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
your ability to do science in citizen science surpasses our ability to attempt comedy as merely comedians.
Oh, that was kind of funny though.
We'll say Karen is a citizen comedian and Brian
Yes.
is a citizen scientist.
So
All right, well-
I think when it's comedian, it's called wannabe, but okay.
Well, I'm a wannabe scientist.
But that's exciting that there's folks on the call who are very new to it, which is like the point of SciStarter, hence the name starter, getting people started. So that's really exciting.
Great. All right. Can you hear me better now, Caroline?
Yeah, we can hear you a lot better.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So it sounds like sort of a mix of people that are sort of familiar with citizen science, some that aren't, and some that have a lot of experience. But to give everyone sort of on the same foot, I'll give sort of a brief overview of what it is we're actually talking about here. I'm going to share my screen again to do that. Let's see. So what I've done is I've sort of cobbled together little clips from a bunch of different citizen science projects. And so if you notice, we're sort of harping on Verizon. If you don't know why we're talking about that. So some of the people that are on this call participate in a citizen science program on a website called SciStarter that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And they participate in projects through their employment with, or sort of as through their volunteer program through their employer at Verizon. But if that's not you, that's totally cool. But if that does apply to you, these projects that we have on here are some of the projects that are on the Verizon portal. But if you're not a Verizon employee, you can also access all these projects for free on SciStarter yourself. And we'll talk about how to do that a little later. So yeah, just to give you a flavor of what we're talking about. So citizen science is any kind of research project that involves the general public in science. And this can all kinds of different forms. Here we have Flu Near You. This is a project trying to map how flu is distributed all across the country in order to have better diagnostics for preventing flu. Now moving into a project on COVID, which is really amazing. This is a project called Stall. Disease. So these projects that we're talking about, I mean, they cover every aspect of science. If there's a field of science you can think of, there is a citizen science out there that is focused on involving the general public in that kind of research. This is another one called iNaturalist. This is a project where anyone can upload a photograph of a plant or animal all over the world that is sent to a global database so researchers can better understand how ranges of animals are changing, maybe climate change, and how colors and patterns of different species are distributed all over the world. There are currently tens of millions of observations to iNaturalist. Project about marine debris, so better understanding how different kinds of trash on beaches are distributed can help environmental scientists better understand how to prevent pollution and how sort of ocean currents are influencing the distribution of plastic trash. So there's really just all of them are united in that it's involving anyone out in the world, whether you're a scientist or not, in collecting the data and analyzing the data and trying to understand the science of what's going on. That's what makes citizen science really unique and really special and really valuable. There's a lot of research questions out there now that really can't be answered without some kind of giant global database. And, like a scientist that wants to, understand how bird maps are changing as a result of, how bird distributions are changing as a result of climate change. One scientist on their own can only go out and observe so many birds in the world and record those observations. But if you involve millions of people all over the world in a project like that, all of a sudden you have a tremendously valuable database that you can build new models off of and better understand your research questions. So that's what citizen science is, and that's what I'm talking about here. And so citizen science has evolved over the last decade. It's grown tremendously. There are many more projects out there than there used to be. And to make sense of all that, this website called SciStarter we're talking about has come up to sort of help people organize and find projects. And so let me show you what SciStarter looks like quickly. SciStarter currently has all over the world covering astronomy, health, space, justice-focused projects. There's all kinds of projects out there, and people use SciStarter to find a project of interest. So if you're really SciStarter and find a project about birds. And so here it is. You can, if you know the name of your project, you can type it in here. And so SciStarter has become a really valuable tool for people that are interested in citizen science to find and explore new means of contributing to science. But move this out of the way. And so if you're just tuning in and haven't heard of SciStarter, you should definitely check it out. And we'll be talking about some projects that you can find on SciStarter a little later. And if you're specifically a Verizon employee that's tuning in to learn more about how to Verizon, we've built this special page here for Verizon employees that has sort of a curated list of projects that folks might be interested in, and has pages, details, and videos about the projects all together right here. What else can I say about SciStarter? SciStarter has recently really expanded. Yeah.
Your sound's breaking up for us a little bit. Would you, if it's possible, could you switch to phone?
Sure. Yeah, let me get my phone up.
Yeah, so just basically in the bottom left corner, you click that little caret, and then you have the switch audio to phone option, and we'll be good to go. And while you do that, for some of you who are I'll quickly talk over what you're seeing on Bradley's screen right now. We actually coincidentally have 3 of my favorite projects up, and the one on the right, Ant Picnic, was born in North Carolina, which I think some of you are based right now based on our poll question. And these 3 projects are also on the verizon.scistarter.org page. And for our Verizon employees, they can get volunteer time for doing and for protecting the planet and moving the world forward with citizen science in the field of health, stall catchers. You're doing Alzheimer's research. Light pollution research with Globe at Night, you're looking at the sky and sending your observations. And then with Ant Picnic, the dietary preferences of ants, which is so fantastic. So Bradley, are you on phone now?
Cool. Yeah, it switched. I don't know why it switched back. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we can hear you a lot better. I'll let you take it away again.
Okay, awesome. The perils of the Zoom call. Cool. And then the one final thing I was going to say about SciStarter is that, now there are these dashboards where you can keep track of all the different projects that you've contributed to, and even the individual contributions you're making to different projects. And I'm looking at it, feeling pretty good about myself that I've made 2,000 contributions. Most of it is identifying animals on a website
You're an
called
all-star.
iNaturalist.
That's amazing.
So it's really motivating to get out there and keep trying new projects. And the dashboards are only going to get built out even more over the coming years. And so it's a great way to sort of keep track of what you've done and the projects that you might be interested in. You can mark projects to come back to later if you want to try it at a later time. Cool. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And all right. So the next step, is having folks complete a brief survey. Karen or Darlene or Karen or Caroline, have we decided whether or not that's something we're going to keep doing?
We might want to move on to the next steps and maybe loop back into it at the end and keep
Sure.
up with your
Yeah.
citizen science introduction.
Great.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
provide that at the end.
Cool. So moving on. So now we're going to get Brian involved and show you guys what contributing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll give a little introduction to Crowd the Tap.
Yeah.
And then Brian can demonstrate it.
Great. Okay. So we're going to talk about 2 projects that you can contribute to right now on SciStarter, whether it's through Verizon or not. And they're 2 very different projects. They're both really neat in different ways. The first one is called Crowd the Tap, and it's a citizen science project exploring the distribution of different kinds of piping, including lead pipes that are bringing water into people's homes to better understand how risk of environmental harm is distributed across communities and across the country. And then we're going to talk about a separate project called iNaturalist that is about mapping biodiversity of animals. So yeah, I'll turn it over to Karen to talk a little more about Crowd the Tap.
Okay, yeah. Well, and I'll say briefly too that as Bradley's mentioned, the citizen science projects really vary in the types of activities you might do. And some might involve going outside in your yard or park and assessing biodiversity. Some might be done right at home, which we'll do with Crowd the Tap with Brian's home. Some might be done on your computer, never even leaving your desk or your couch. So they really do vary, and anyway, we're going to show 2 types. So yeah, Crowd the Tap is a project funded by the EPA to my research lab, and its goal is really to help minimize the risk of lead in tap water, right? So lead, of course, is a toxin that is harmful at any levels in our drinking water, and the potential source of lead in water are the pipes, the actual infrastructure of pipes that bring water to our homes. And the challenge is that most of the pipes that are underground and were put there decades and decades ago in some cases, before it was really against the law to use those lead pipes. And so there's potentially a lot of lead infrastructure that exists. And some of that might even be in our homes. And so the goal of Crowd the Tap is focused on homes, on what's on private property, for which we really have there's currently no public records on. And so there's 2 types of two places where we like to look for, or where the project would like data on. And one is what's called the service line, which is the pipe that leads from the water main, which is buried underground, and it takes water directly from the water main that the utility maintains, and it delivers it into the house, right? So there's that one pipe, the service line, that brings water into the home, and then that distributes water throughout all the piping in the home. And so Crowd the Tap would like information on the material that the service line is made of, and then the different materials that your water pipes in your home might consist of. So some people might know that. You might know that if you own the home, you might know it from your purchase records, from your inspection records, or if you had some plumbing issues, you might know it because the plumber told you. And then that's great. You could do crowd the tap, which I'm going to put it right here. Oh, no, I guess I should put it right there. You could do crowd the tap from the Verizon portal. You can do that within a few minutes if you already know what type of pipes you have. But if you don't know what types of pipes you have, Brian's going to give a little demo as to how he found them in his house.
Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yes,
Yep.
you are.
So in my case, first I filled out the form online, which was very easy. And but there were certain questions I couldn't answer. So for me, I have sort of a basement or crawl space. I'm outside of my house right now. And it's not like a full basement, but that's where we're going. And that's where the water line comes in. And this was all new to me. I didn't know anything about this before this project. I didn't know much about any of this. But let me flip my camera. Right over there. And you know, let me just give my camera a little wipe. And this other one too. So the black part right there is what did you call it? The line that's coming into the house, Karen?
Yeah, the service line.
The service line. And then it connects to my own line right there, which goes off and over there.
Yep, go back. You can see that there's that where the service line attaches in Brian's house to the rest of his plumbing is a shutoff valve in case he has a leak or whatever and he has to shut off the water.
Yeah, so it's a little dark here, but the black is the line coming in, and then this meets up with, you know, that's from the public city or state version, and this is to the rest of my house. And yeah, valve there. So is this where you want me to check first? Like, first of all, this isn't even metal. So I have the magnet and the penny. There are these two tests that you can do to see if these pipes are magnetic or not. And well, they're obviously not, because they're not even metal. They're PEX or something. They're a type of hard plastic.
And Brian, do you think, given the age of your home, how old is it? Do you think that your service line and home plumbing have been replaced perhaps before you purchased the home?
Possibly, because my house is pretty old, like 1932, I think it was built in.
Or there were plastics.
Did we have these is this kind of pipe this?
It's newer.
Does it go back that far? Yeah. And I've only been here about 8 years and I haven't changed it. But okay, so then this leads over to, hold on a sec. So that's back where I was just now. And then it comes in here. And then there's a T up here and it splits. And one part of it goes into my water heater. One part of it bypasses the water heater and goes on to the rest of my house. And there's another T, and one piece of that goes to the faucet on the side of my house. It's the only thing. There's a whole line, that whole line going there, that direction. That's just to go to the faucet on the side of my house that rarely gets used. But right here, some of it comes down, and then we do have a little bit of metal, and this looks like copper. It's copper colored. You know, I can test the magnet, and if it is copper, it's not magnetic. Copper, all metals aren't magnetic, but like iron and steel, right? Are.
Right.
So this is not magnetic. So I have some copper piping, and the rest are this sort of like plastic. And then both the copper line, after my water heater, there's a copper line that goes to the rest of my house, to the showers and faucets and sinks and stuff in the house. But then there's also a continuation of the plastic one to the rest of the house that's not going through the water heater. So it was really pretty easy. You come down here and you check this out, and then there's the form on the website is really easy. It literally took a few minutes.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the form on the website includes a little bit of background details about the house, like the age, whether there's any vulnerable populations like infants in the house, some information about the pipes, and then a little survey, a little like sort of questions about the water quality just from your senses, from the like 5 senses.
Yeah.
Like if it,
And I've never
if
had,
it's,
our tap water's great. I drink it all the time. And I don't have
you
a
like your tap
filter.
water?
Yeah, I like my tap water, and I don't have a filter on the sink or anything. I don't know if that's a bad idea, but I think that we have good tap water here, don't we?
Yeah.
Do we?
I hope so. I will say that, I mean, lead in water can come from lead pipes. Some steel pipes can be lined with lead. That can be a problem. And then some copper pipes, oftentimes the solder used to put them together was lead based. So there still can be risk from some of the other types of pipes, risks related to lead. And if one is concerned about it, filters are certainly, certain NSF approved filters are certainly really effective. But thanks, Brian. I think that's super helpful. There were some questions in the chat. Just want to emphasize that all homes are eligible to participate. Even though lead was banned from use in 1986, like I was saying earlier, so much of the water infrastructure and the pipes were laid before that and often not replaced. And anyway, we would like a complete inventory of whether there's lead or other materials to really understand and identify areas that might be at risk.
Yeah, and Karen, just to tie this back together, I mean, would you on your own as a researcher interested in, how lead infrastructure is distributed in the community, could you on your own go out and create a national map of where lead piping is?
Could I right now?
Yeah, like without the involvement of
to emphasize
citizen scientists.
No, definitely not at all.
Yeah.
Like it's been which is one of the reasons EPA funded it, realizing that really that citizen science was the only way to really gather this kind of crowdsourcing, was the only way to get this information, is to ask people to look in their homes and let us know what's there, because the utilities don't have it. Like I said, because a lot of the things were laid so long ago, there's just really not good records. And so we want to be proactive, and before there's problems, really identify where there's still lead and get rid of it. So Brian went outside, and I think now he can do another project.
Yep.
What do you got there for us?
I'm in your front yard, Karen.
He's coming over to Brian's my neighbor, so.
Are you coming out here?
I am.
It looks like you are.
I will show y'all.
So the other one that I'm new to, but I am very intrigued by, is iNaturalist that Bradley was discussing before. And it's super fun and easy. Like, I registered on the website, and I downloaded the app and logged in. And then it's really easy to just take pictures of plants or animals, and the app gives you like a tentative best guess at, is it this? And it's like, oh yeah, that's what it looks like it is. And then you send there's the other shot. And then you send it in, and so like we can demonstrate it, because so Karen is pointing a webcam at me. You tilt down a little. So there's Karen pointing her camera at me, and I'm gonna switch over. You'll lose me on that video there, and I'm gonna launch the app. And then if I don't know how much detail you can see here, but those are my previous observations. When I was down in the cellar, when we did a run through of this, I saw a spider and I took a picture of it. And you know what? it's not even a great photo, but I knew that it was a cellar spider because I know a little bit about some insects. And so it identified it as a cellar spider. And then you submit it, and it comes with information about where it was and when it was. And I also have some rosemary growing in my yard. And I took a picture, and sure enough, it knew it was. So let's test it, though, on one of your plants. If you click the observe button, then it gives you a camera. And here's a plant. And here's some like distinctive looking leaves. When I take the picture, there's a nice picture. So I hit next. It saves it. And then it's going, what did you see? And you can look it up. But so is that what that is? Is it hydrangea?
Sounds right.
It says hydrangea. Now it's showing the flower, but if do I click it? And then I can hit share. And what I just did was using the app, we identified the species and uploaded it as a piece of data that's with the time and the location, very specific. And then what happens? So then
Bradley can show it. You can just show it.
Oh yeah, so Bradley actually can see my account.
So can people hear me?
Yeah, or I can anyway.
So great screen now. I'm on the iNaturalist website. Just uploaded this photo of a hydrangea. Let's see, that does look like a hydrangea to me, and so I can agree. I don't know the species level, but what's amazing about iNaturalist, there are tens of thousands, many of them experts in their various, taxa, like plants or animals. And so I bet somebody's going to come on here pretty soon, probably in the next 10 minutes, and tell us exactly which species of hydrangea it is. And they'll give a more specific identification by typing it in here. And so by crowdsourcing identifications like this, iNaturalist is able to sort of tap into the power of the crowd, of groups of people working together to solve problems and identify things. And the data and the observations that are uploaded on iNaturalist are of really high quality, even though it's just collected by really anyone that downloads the app because of these crowdsourced identifications. That's what's really awesome.
And Bradley, were there any specific things that like motivated the iNaturalist, or were there specific questions or research that it was supposed to serve?
Yeah, I mean, you can sort of think about it as, the world's biggest museum. iNaturalist is probably the most popular citizen science project. And some people don't know this, but the original and remaining, main goal of museums is the collection of specimens. And so all museums, deep in the sub-basement have tens of thousands of plant and animal specimens that are used for research by researchers, that want to understand, how animals change over time or how they look different in different places. And iNaturalist, while it doesn't have, actual dead animal specimens or dried plant specimens, it has photographs, and it has way more of those photographs than any museum could ever have. And so it can answer all kinds of research questions based on that just like enormous amount of data.
And, for me, I just have to say that I'm new to it. And what I like about it is I don't know, as much as I love science, I don't know the names of many kinds of plants or trees or anything. So the idea that you could take, like, there are these, I learned earlier in front of Karen's, these crepe myrtles, and the way their bark looks and the way it peels off, just the fact that, or this bush in the front of my house, I didn't know what kind, that it's some kind of box, what is it?
Yeah.
Some box.
It's boxwood. Yeah.
Boxwood. Thank you. It's just as easy as pointing the camera at it, taking the picture, and getting an identification. So for me, it's pretty cool because right around my yard, I'm surrounded by all these different plants and I don't know what they are. And this is better than trying to drag a neighbor over here to identify them for me. I can do it myself with the app.
Right. I think that's the theme of a lot
Yeah.
of these citizen science projects too, is that you learn something from them. Just like you learned about your pipes, stuff you hadn't investigated before, and you learn about the plants, all those things.
Yeah, separate from helping the scientist and the actual citizen science part is that what I'm getting out of it is, oh, I can find out what all these things are. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if we said it outright, but that's the other part of what Brian's talking about is this app and a lot of similar citizen science, because they have so much data now, they can actually use, Brian took the picture of the plant. It was an algorithm that based on thousands of other observations of hydrangea was pretty confident that that was a picture of a hydrangea. And then it can get, you know, an even closer level of specification, combining that with the actual humans, the people, the experts that are on iNaturalist, making even more precise observations. So
it's like the
humans and
Shazam.
robots working together.
It's like the Shazam of plants and animals.
Exactly.
It worked for the cellar spider in my basement, and it's worked for, so we haven't had a fail yet. In the handful of ones that I've done, they all worked. From the rosemary to this boxwood to that hydrangea and to the cellar spider. It's the only bug I found so far. So
Great.
yeah, like Shazam.
Cool. So
Identify
that was
it.
our citizen science demo. Yeah. And so actually
There's,
somebody in the chat
There's
just,
oh, you saw in the chat. Yeah, I was just about to
Yeah.
raise that to your attention. Go ahead.
yeah. So somebody in the chat just mentioned, obviously, some sort of meeting in Hunt Library to talk about this, is that, you know, COVID-19 is out there, and there are indeed citizen science projects about COVID-19 that are helping track where outbreaks are. One group that's working on that is a group whose original project is called Flu Near You. And so the sort of original citizen science project, which is still ongoing, influenza across and across the globe, that's sort of doing the same thing except for COVID-19. And so now we're going to move into actually participating in some of these projects. And so we're going to start by actually doing, this is kind of a nice segue, we're going to try participating in Flu Near You, which is sort of the parent project of this COVID-focused citizen science project. And so to do that, what I want people to do is, if you're listening to this and you're a part of the Verizon group, let me share my screen. I'm going to ask those people to go to one website, and then the people that are not involved in Verizon, you go to a separate area on SciStarter. And it's the same project, it's just a different place where you register. So yeah, again, if you're listening to this and you're a part of the Verizon group, drop it in the chat. Actually, if Caroline or somebody else could drop this in the chat, screen sharing. Yeah. So if you're a part of Verizon, go to that site. And then you are a part of, and what you'll do is you'll just type in the search bar and find the project Flu Near You. And so it's going to take you to the same project. It's just, yeah, the Verizon folks kind of want their projects all together on one page there. And so from there, either way, so if you're with Verizon, you can scroll down. It's the first project. The site there, and then you're going to click Participate Web, and that will take you to Flu Near You. And then if you're not with Verizon and you've found the Flu Near You page just on the normal SciStarter page, you'll also click here, Visit Project's website. And now we should be in the same place, which is flunearyou.org. And once you're here, I think because I'm already a member of Flu Near You, this automatically pops up. But if you're not, you will, and you're not a member of SciStarter, actually, on the prior page to this, whether you're with Verizon or not, it'll prompt you to create a SciStarter account. So you want to do that so that your contributions get credited to you on your dashboard. Let me make sure. So I can't actually see the chat when I'm sharing my screen. Does anyone have any questions about where we are so far?
All right, just are there two links that we should be seeing? There's a verizon.scistarter.org, and then for others, just scistarter.org, or and thanks,
Yeah,
Brian.
or
Brian
Thank you.
saying bye.
/flew near you.
Oh, I see. scistarter.org/flew near you. Correct.
So what this project does, I'll sort of talk about it as we're waiting for folks to get here. But yeah, I mean, it's a super simple project in that all it asks of participants is to just check in once a week about whether they're having flu-like symptoms. You really just answer this question: I'm feeling great. And that's all I have to do once a week. But you can see, if I zoom out here, as people all over the country are filling in this form every week, it allows epidemiologists to track where there's like a density of people having flu-like symptoms, and that can help the people that work in the healthcare field to better track where outbreaks of influenza are. And you'll see in the COVID near you page, it's doing a very similar thing, helping track where outbreaks of COVID are taking place. And then if someone could just confirm in the chat, are people at the stage where they've landed on the Flu Near You site here and are now able to say whether or not they have flu-like symptoms? I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat.
Sorry, I had shared a little other information just for
Okay.
people to have, but I don't see any responses yet about flu near you.
Okay.
And the SciStarter accounts that people would have made.
Yeah, I think people are probably still going through the process. And if you feel like you're falling behind, don't feel bad. Flu Near You will still be here after we finish this live streamed event. Yeah, Stephanie says still sign up, still working. So yeah, Stephanie's still going through it. And
Yeah.
Stephanie, absolutely no worries. Take your time.
Yeah, takes a little bit to go through all that initial investment in time just to get everything all set. And Tammy's got
Exactly.
it. That's excellent.
Nice. Jennifer's got it.
Yeah, and it's nice because a lot of projects sort of have the same structure of being on SciStarter, and from there, either getting an app or making a simple account, and then jumping right in. Some of the more complicated projects have little tutorials, things like that. Anyway, they really, they vary a bit.
Yeah. While we're still waiting for everyone to contribute to potentially their first citizen science project on Flu Near You, you guys can go ahead and start asking any questions you have in the chat here.
Yeah, and Jennifer said she got it too.
Great.
I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, super.
All right. I think we've probably, everyone who's going to go through it today probably has gone through it by now.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, do people have any questions about what we've talked about today? Yeah, if this was your first time contributing to Citizen Science, congratulations. And if you just made your SciStarter account for the first time, you can now go to your dashboard and probably find your first contribution. If you go to scistarter.org/dashboard/main, and I'll drop that in the chat. But
We did have one
that's-
question from Jennifer earlier.
Okay, sure.
Let me pull it up. Jennifer asked, is this for houses just hooked up to their municipality water? What about houses with well water?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I was answering that in the chat. So yeah, Crowd the Tap does want, it accepts data from homes with well water. And in that case, instead of reporting on the service line, what's reported on is the well casing, the material of the well casing. And then of course, the same with the home plumbing is just as relevant. So the answer is yes, all homes. I mean, in any kind of home, whether it's an apartment, a standalone home, a duplex, like whatever it might be, there's a place in Crowd the Tap for that home. So thanks. That's a great question.
And we got an important comment that came in. Tammy May said, "Go Pack."
Yes.
Saw that.
Go back to your little wolf pack. Thanks. Yeah.
But I mean, and that is a good point. Yeah, there are a lot of those from NC State here, and that is because North Carolina is in some ways kind of a central hub for citizen science. There's a lot of neat stuff going on in the state regarding getting people involved in citizen science, including here at NC State.
Stephanie said, "Love this and have already sent my VP a note to get him and others involved."
Awesome.
Oh,
Woo.
thanks. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, and as you can see, like just from everything we did today, I mean, citizen science is supposed to be fun. I mean, you're making the world a better place, you're doing real research, you're protecting the planet, but hopefully you can also have a good time and connect with others, even in these turbulent times of physical and social distancing.
Yeah. And well, just since we mentioned wolf pack, I'll just make the analogy that just like people in a pack, I mean, wolves in a pack work together like towards some common goal. It is such the embodiment of citizen science. You just don't have to physically be together, but it is doing these tasks basically in coordination, but separately. We're geographically dispersed wherever at our homes, but toward that common purpose and goal. And that, I do think that makes it really exciting. And Bradley, do you want to say some final words just about, or did you already drop in the survey link, or about the like the benefits of citizen science and understanding better how it changes lives?
Yeah, I can talk about it. I think, there's only 6 other people on, so I don't know if we need to do the survey, but I will say,
I see it.
yeah, to explain just a little bit more about how sort of at least my involvement in this and what Karen and I together are working on is, we know citizen science is valuable for science and the benefits that getting lots of people involved and contributing to research can have. We're specifically interested in how citizen science impacts the participants, though. I mean, at this point, there are hundreds of thousands of people all over the world contributing to projects. And so we're really interested in learning more about what that means to the people that do these projects, including us and now, I guess, everyone on this call. We're all citizen scientists, and how does that affect us? And is citizen science, a means of increasing STEM learning? Jennifer mentioned getting, potentially getting it started in her classroom. That's something we're really interested in, is getting students involved in citizen science as a different means of engaging in science beyond, just a typical, formal learning classroom. We're interested in the impacts of getting people involved in citizen science for justice-focused organizations, how we can collectively better understand, say like pollution in our communities together and use that to achieve the goals of social environmental justice. And so there's all kinds of different benefits to citizen science for participants, we think, and that's what we're interested in learning more about.
Well, with that, I dropped the survey link in the chat for any of our participants who are interested. And of course, that'll be available in the materials we distribute after this. Some of the questions we've received is this recorded? Yes, it's actually on YouTube as we speak. For our Verizon folks, can I get volunteer credit for this? Definitely. Just go back to InvolveSoft and you can get your credit. We want to honor your volunteer work today. And most importantly, I want to thank Karen and Bradley for the work they do day in and day out for citizen science and for making the world a better place. We really, truly never stop working for science. So thank you to you both.
Great. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks for setting this up and getting
Thanks,
this
everybody.
organized. Yeah.
On that note, we're going to stop our live stream. So good, the people watching on YouTube,